Township of Cohasset, regular monthly meeting, February 18th, 2020. Yep, ready.
Kevin Bembrook's going to be a little bit late tonight, so we'll be starting without him.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to call a meeting to order. Adequate notice has been given to the Express Times and Star Gazette satisfying the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. If everybody would please stand for a moment of silence and a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some minutes that need approval from November 19th, December 17th, and January 7th. I believe it's one that had emailed those minutes out for, I need a motion for approval.
Well, I motion to approve, but with the correction to December 17th. There was, I was pointing out a property complaint that I had received from a resident, and the name in the minutes is Mary Van Loo, but it should be correct.
Okay,
It's the property on Russell and then China.
the one on the corner there.
Yes.
So Mayor, we need to take two of these to Councilman Stiller have an on until January.
All right, so we'll just take them all separate, that way we know who's where and stuff. You want to call a roll, Wanda? We'll take November 1st.
November 19th.
Correct.
Okay, who's making the motions?
So moved. I'll second it.
Okay, Babinski, Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Slack.
Yes. All right, now December 17th. So moved.
With corrections.
With corrections as mentioned.
Second.
Okay, Babinski,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Slack.
Yes. And now January 7th, that was our reorg. So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Yes.
Babinski, Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Stillo,
Yes.
Slack.
Yes. Motion to pay bills, payment of bills presented in proper form signed by the director of each department and approved by the majority of the members and listed on the bill list.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Babinski, Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Stillo,
Yes.
Slack.
Yes. Public comments. Are there any public comments at this time pertaining to agenda items and agenda items only? If so, please come forward and sign in. Okay, seeing none,
Mayor, we have to hold off on this next thing until Kevin gets here.
all right, no problem. We will come back to number 8 and number 11, as Mr. Pembroke is not here. We will move on to engineers report. Wayne?
All right, our main topic again tonight remains grants, but I think for the first time in a while, I have some positive news to report. So with our 2017 grant, they have still not rescinded the money as of Friday. So based on what we talked about last month, we prepared the resolution for the co-op. We have that ready to go. Currently, the dollar value sits under the grant amount. There are some add-ons and things, but we should be well within the range that we talked about. And basically, to make it official, all we have to do is turn this back to the DOT, and our money is locked in, and we'll receive our 75% payment up front for that work.
Do we need to do that in motions today, or is it already on our motion?
It's a resolution on the agenda, Mayor.
Okay.
So, with the 2018 and 2019 grants, we met to discuss with them, the key issue, what we talked about last time was not wanting to do all the sections, wanting to pull certain pieces out. I finally have a representative willing to do that. As requested, I brought, the locations and the pictures of those locations. If you wanted to, and again, everybody can review it, tell me what they want out, shoot me an email, whatever the case may be. If they support that, we can pull those pieces out, and still proceed with the grant. Another interesting little tidbit he gave me is that, we had previously talked about, there was the guide rail section we considered putting in where there was the accident, where the few people had died. He said that we could at least attempt to write him an explanation of why, but to put that into the grants we already have as a substitution. So, whereas before we were considering paying for that out of pocket, not that it's a huge cost, it's a short section, he would be willing potentially to swap that into the grant balance that we have. So if we pull other sections out and we put this in, we should still be looking to, be within the grant amounts that we have and proceed. So I took those both as good news. The 2018 grant is actually going to be overdue next week. So we run the same risk as we did with the 2017 grant. Are they going to rescind it immediately? Probably not. We're still a year out, and we still have the 27. But, if we want to proceed, which I would recommend we do, another thing would be that we would make a motion to combine our 2018 and 2019. And what that'll allow us to do then is make one pool of money, so we care less about if the 2018 grant goes over, we can take money from 2019 and push it back, and vice versa. So it gives us a bigger pot, if we can make a decision on what we do and don't want to include, now we have a project everybody is happy with, and again, we would be covered by the grant. So the only thing not covered would be all the design work, which again, I estimated at 10 to 12,000. We can, we'll do our best to be efficient in that and, try and come in under. But that would be the only out-of-pocket that I would envision, for the grant. So that's where those stand. We also discussed the, Pinter's Point Road grant, and basically how we had the $500,000 for what was estimated to be a $1.5 million project. He was willing, I think we would have to proceed with the entire project from a permitting standpoint. But he said we could divide the project if there was a way we could cut the work off at a point where we stabilize this and make it not any worse. Because what's happening is the longer we go, the worse this is getting, the more it's going to cost. We can try and find a way while we're doing the project to create a phase 1, phase 2, where we can make it stable so it doesn't get worse, and keep us with a lower dollar value under the grant we have. He also said that during that time, we can also apply for more place grant funding, to see if we can get a subsequent one done. Considering I think it's going to take 9 months to a year to get the permits in place.
Just to get the permit.
Yeah, that's going to give us, plenty of time to at least get another application rolling. We can see how we can split it up to cut those costs.
What's your estimate just for the permitting, 50,000?
Yeah, that's and 15,000 in fees to the DEP, basically. But there's a lot of structural work and other things that, stream analysis, it's a pretty
Intense.
pretty big lift. But, again, and that's not, again, a one-time invoice. That's something you're gonna spread over 8 months. With basically, 6-8 months in, when 15,000 will be due to DEP. And then those permits are good for a number of years, so, but we're under a 2-year window for the grant that we have. He actually said that the clocks, they haven't officially received it, so we're probably about a year and 9 months to act on this first phase of the grant. That's why I think it's important that, again, don't need to start it today, but we need to seriously think about starting it, to stay within our timeframes. But again, if we don't want to look to, to do some sort of a bond, the best solution I can offer is that we can try and, cut this project into phases so we can maximize what we get from the grant. And if, so if we have to wait, for more grant funding, at least we're not, the problem's not going to exacerbate itself in the end.
With the permitting, can we get extensions if we would decide to prolong the finish of the job?
Yeah, we could get an extension of the permit, but, technically all you need to do to validate your permit is to start work. So if we start work and there's a, delay while it's still ongoing.
No, I meant if we phased it, if we did it in phases, once we start work, pull the permit, start work, and then it would be 2 or 3 years down the road, if we did phase 2, our permit would still be valid.
Yeah, and I would say the permitting is mostly applicable to phase 1, which would be the stabilization. Once you get the stabilization done, you're basically working on the road bed, to upgrade the road, put the guide rail in, the dressings of it, which, believe it or not, adds up to a significant amount of money. Again, the 1.5, in my opinion, was inflated to begin with, so, but still, it's going to cost more than the grant amount if we do it once. But again, the positive was that they would, they're not insisting we get everything to 100%. We could use, we could try to do work up until the point that we can have grant funding, and just cut it off there. So, there's some flexibility that they weren't really willing to give us before.
You have a
So,
different contact you said you were working with?
yep. And finally, we discussed the 2020 grant when I met with them. Again, that was a $500,000 project for New Jersey Ave and Marsh Boulevard. We got $112,000. I also talked to him about splitting that project because I kind of foresaw there's a potential with, if Scheimer is redeveloped, that part of that project gets paid for. So why would we put our money in our
Right, no,
company out for
absolutely.
it? So he said, no problem, we can pull that out. He also said that, if we wanted to work up to the grant amount, we could cut the scope down and, curb and pave a shorter section of the road that we asked. So, if that's all we want to do, is get a portion of that road done, I think some progress is better than none, and if we got the grant, we should, use every dollar they'll give us for it. So, again, the kind of decision there is just, and then we have 2 years on this one, and we don't need nearly that much, so certainly don't need any decision tonight, or, frankly, in the next 6 months either. But if we do want to proceed, we just need to decide how, we just need to shrink this project up to the point that it's within the grant amount, if that's what we want to do. And it probably pays to kick the can a little bit and see how Scheimer's going, before we make a
We'll
final.
know a little bit better, I would think, at next council meeting where that's
Yep.
headed.
So just, just wanted to provide that update on that, that portion, it's something to keep in mind as we, go into that possible phase of redevelopment. So that's pretty much, all we had. It looks like a few things cropped up in the last day or so, but, for now, that's pretty much all we have to report.
Could you talk about the flood, the rain tax that you've researched with township?
Yeah, so, you had inquired basically, about what we could do, if it's something we want to look into with, taxing. They have a program basically where you can create a stormwater utility to force people to, take care of their, if they add rainwater to our system, and that creates a cost for us to maintain our systems, you can create a stormwater utility and tax the business owners and the property owners, residents, whoever. The danger I see in that is, a lot of times costs fall on the taxpayer, potentially. The residential taxpayer, whereas we probably want to focus that more towards the big developers who are putting down the most impervious surfaces. Problem with that is we don't have a heck of a lot of those projects, and where we do, they're primarily tying into state systems. So it's not really, it wouldn't really be creating a huge benefit for us, it would just kind of be another burden on the taxpayer. At that point, it's a lot of work to go through to, you can either raise taxes and do the exact same thing without all the effort of creating this whole program. So, the only thing I suggested is that there, it might be worth looking at, and Kevin Bedrock agreed as well, it might pay to just update some of our stormwater ordinances to put more of the onus for maintenance and create more responsibility for those who have systems to maintain. A lot of other townships have it, but ultimately it comes back to us because we have our municipal stormwater permit with the state. We as a township, and particularly myself as our designated coordinator, are responsible for enforcing these things, but we don't have a lot of teeth behind us to force these developers to provide the documentation that they're doing what they're supposed to.
I mean, like a point of reference with the mall up there with that failed retention pond out back,
Yep.
pipe hanging up in the middle of nowhere. If we had this in place, would we have more jurisdiction over stuff like that and more teeth?
You could have more teeth, exactly. So, if somebody wants to not, do it and, get to the point of going to court, there's nothing you're gonna do about that. But what it can do is we can create, fines for non-compliance, we can create mandatory submissions of items, and, hopefully that, the better business owners in town will comply. And we're not talking about a huge group, we're basically talking about, your Walmarts, the mall, if some of the other properties redevelop, we have the one application in front of the land use board now for a warehouse. Those properties, you know, if we had an ordinance, you know, hopefully they would do a better job of compliance, which makes our job easier, you know, and our compliance better, but also gives us some teeth to our threats. So, simple things to do, you know, I was gonna provide Kevin some examples from other towns of what they've done, just so we can, you know, if it's something we wanna look at. But that's really my suggestion on the way to proceed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't like the visibility of a main axe. I don't, it doesn't sit right with my bones. And I don't think we want to pass that burden on to our residents. So, but I do think that we should, beef up our ordinances to give us a little bit more opportunity to enforce them, give us some teeth, as we say.
What about out of town problem? Still Valley Road where Dave Farms is subject to a lot of erosion that comes off of property, or water runoff off of property that's not in our town. Got a beat there, right?
You know, that comes down to kind of an enforcement issue. You know, one of the places you call would be soil conservation, and the, you know, the amount of effort they put into following up on that is generally low, and, you know, if it's a farm property, it's even
Yeah,
lower.
but these are commercial properties.
But if it's commercial, I would say, you know, that would be the, you
All
know,
that
it should.
water's coming out of Greenwich Township.
Yeah.
You know,
Down-
under
down-
78 and then down through our
And it runs
town.
down through here and erodes everything.
Right.
It makes a mess.
Yeah, and so none of these options would have any effect on that anyway, because it'd be, you can't tax an out-of-town, you know, entity, but, yeah, I mean, we can look into, you know, seeing if there's something soil conservation will do, or, you know, if they're causing damage to our system, I mean, it becomes a little bit of a legal issue of approaching them to resolve whatever their, you know, whatever the problem is. You know, if we identify it and, you know, come to a conclusion that it's, you know, what's causing the issue, you know, it's something we should legally notify them that they have to remedy, you know, if soil conservation will act on their, you know, on our behalf. So, that's an avenue to look at.
There is one issue in Finesville, up above Finesville, that has 300 some acres. When we have a lot of rain, we have a lot of problems in Finesville from that guy's runoff, you know, and, so maybe there is something we could do there.
Is that the one, the property the county tried to address a little bit or not?
Yeah, but they didn't do it, they put half the pipe in and stopped and didn't do anything else, and I don't know what that issue was. It took a month to put that pipe in our backyard, and it stops, it goes halfway through a field and it just stops.
And the county did it?
County did it, and months and months and months of work there. Big concrete abutment in the Musconetcong River, you know, this big 40-foot diameter pipe, and it goes up and it's buried in the field and it just stops. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did they do anything down there, below the, Milligans as far as, or used to flood down there?
Not that I recall, no.
Right there near where the arch used to live.
Yeah.
Mr. Campanelli.
Yeah. I don't think anything's been done down there. But we've had a lot of flooding in Finesville from this one property that could be rectified easily. There's a quarry there, and with a little bit of work, they could divert the water into the
Yeah, I know,
quarry.
right where you're talking, I remember
There's a
that.
quarry on both sides of the road, as a matter of fact, as well as stone from those, they built the houses in Finesville. Two big quarries, hand dug quarries, you know, 18th century quarries.
With an upgraded stormwater ordinance, that would be something that would address this problem.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, you know, it depends on the wording we do, but yeah, I mean, if the person's having negative impacts on a public road or something like that, there would be enforcement provisions.
And right now, we have nothing.
Not to that effect, no. I mean, you know, we have basic ordinances, but they're not specific to the actual problem, you know, being caused. You know, it's the same with the mall.
This is a rain tax discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's useless, as far as I'm concerned, for municipality our size. But yeah, Wayne.
For the way that we're broken up,
Some
yeah.
ordinance upgrades, I think that's a good idea.
The bigger problem is runoff from adjacent
Exactly.
municipalities that run down through Still Valley and everything, and do a lot of erosion.
I said, Wayne, if you see some ordinances that you like, we can work on that and
Yep.
work on
I'll work on that.
updating our ordinance, and I think that's definitely on my radar screen this year.
Yep.
Wait, real quick about the elementary subdivision, you emailed me, can you just inform council real quick about the estimate that you gave me?
Off the top of my head, what was my estimate?
$4.
Sold.
$52.50 for,
to do boundary survey, preparation of subdivision, and deed description.
Yeah, it was 3,500 for the survey, the prep for the subdivision plat was 1,500, and the deed description's 250.
Yeah, and the problem, I mean, we tried like hell to find anything. There is not a single record anybody can come by that gives us the limits of this property. So, in essence, we're forced to survey the entire outbound of that property.
That's not a big deal anymore, is it?
It's a couple days, it's a couple field days, of doing that. And then I can fit it in with the,
How about it?
the adjoining properties, which, the complicating factors are you have a railroad and you have the DOT,
You
which,
have given me two
you
from
would
the same
think would
person.
help you. It's finding records on those is tough. And so-
Records on the railroads go back 150 years.
Exactly. So trying to piece it together to actually know for sure what it is you're buying is harder than you think. But that's, that's trying to take a minimalist approach. We're not gonna locate all the features of the school. We're simply doing this for the outbound of the property to, be able to break this up. And we have to give you a plat basically that you can file. I mean, it's essentially a subdivision, so.
Anything else for Wayne?
Yeah, do you need any action tonight on the first thing we talked about regarding the phases and that roadworks?
So, well, I mean, 2017, I think we made a decision last time. 2018, 19, the decision is if everyone's okay doing combining of the grants, I need to notify DOT. And then, like I said, I'm happy to leave these. I can give you guys copies of the roads, that were under both grants. I just need a comprehensive list from, whoever wants to make the decision, what's in, what's out, so I can go back to DOT with the final count. And then we would need, if you do want to proceed, we would need to be authorized to do our portion of the work.
I can help on that if you want me to.
Sure.
So whoever wants.
Yeah, I can leave these with you.
And Dave, whatever you want to do there.
Yeah, I would suggest, since you're in charge of the public works, you spearhead it, Steve, and whoever wants to help you or lend a hand, I'm open to that.
Or I can get one of those guys, or a couple of those guys to help.
Yeah, and actually, if you would reach out to the road department, and between them and you, that would be probably a good team to see what really is needed and what's not, especially now that we have the flexibility to potentially substitute or omit and still go through with it.
Yep.
Are you gonna have two members of council do that?
I can, who wants to volunteer?
Like I said, I would.
Oh, I know, I'm looking for a second.
To give an opinion, I'll give an opinion.
All right, if there's any needed, review or whatever.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
All right, very good. Got that, Wanda?
Yes, sir.
Anything else for our
On a Sunday or something, I'll come up with it.
engineer? And I think, Ingrid, the run resolution covered maybe part of your question, the third one down.
I can use another one, now, right, combined?
Well, and I don't know whether that would be a resolution or a motion.
Yeah, it's really just a direction for us to tell us what to do.
We'll add that as a motion there. To combine the two projects, 18 and 19, into one, unit.
I like that strategy.
Yeah, I do too.
And then to proceed based upon the final, accounting of the roads that you wanted, the sections you wanted to.
Will we have at least some of the work completed from the first one until it's time to, follow through with the second and the third?
Well, the first one, I mean, they're pressing me to get this done because it's so far overdue. So basically, as soon as I turn these documents in, they're gonna make us official, they're gonna send us the money, and we have to have a pre-construction meeting to get it rolling.
All right, so
this is gonna happen
potentially we
quickly.
could have some of this project underway installed until it's time to come around for the second go-around.
Correct, yes.
All right, anything else for our engineer? If not, we will backtrack to our attorney now that Kevin's here. Kevin, do you want to handle the bid opening for this?
I can handle all that in one shot. Well, first of all, let me just, for the benefit of the council and the public, a couple pieces of good news. Number one, you got an outstanding bid on the Shining School. I just handed Wanda the contract, the bid came in at $420,000. I just wanted to sign contract by the high bidder. I have $42,000 deposit already, and delivered to me today.
How much does Max Span take?
Max Pan takes none of that. It's commissions on top of that.
Okay, so it's a buyer's
Yes,
commission.
Yes, buyer's commission. So really, the contract is for another 10% on top of that, when we get
We get
41. I'm very pleased with that, to say the least. So somewhere probably in the motions calendar, there's a motion to authorize the mayor and Laura to execute that. And,
Last one.
and then Wanda has those. So that was an outstanding result. Hopefully, that has a quick closing date, by the way. I specifically tailored that contract, so it's a 30-day close, and we will commit them to that. That money comes right into the general till. Not sure if you can spend it this year. but
on the coffers for now.
it's in there. Secondly, yes, as far as number 8 goes, signing the tax sale certificate, we received an initial offer of $42,812, which was, I think the current outstanding taxes with interest was like 87 and change. Well, when we got sewer and everything, we got over 100. Then we started the process of giving notices. We received only one bid, again from the same guy. He decreased his offer to $68.5, which is not going to make you guys whole in terms of the outstanding taxes. But this is totally up to you guys. Bear in mind that if we foreclose it, those taxes are never going to be paid, no portion of them. And I don't know whether you're ever going to get $68.5 if I go out to contract, because of the environmental issues primarily. I know they're not a big deal, but he has given me some supplemental information on them, but there's definitely some open numbers and things, Wayne, that need to be closed out. And the process would be, I would have to spend the next 6 months, already have the complaint ready to file for foreclosure. This property is one of them. 6 months from now, or 8 months from now, I'm going to get a judgment for you guys. You're going to own it, and then we could auction it off. You may or may not get the $68,000, or we can go this route, tentatively accept the 68. I think 65.
What did you counteract that?
We asked him to come up to pay all the outstanding tax,
Less than interest.
less than interest, which is about,
I thought it was like 90-some thousand.
it's about 87, I think. So he came up a fair amount, but he didn't come as far as we went. I did publish all the notices. Carrie and I coordinated. We had 5 notices published throughout the township. We didn't get any other bids. So the process would be tonight, if you're interested in accepting this, we'll do another round of notices, again posted. This time I'll also notice the property owner, and that notice will basically say, hey, we're willing to accept this bid. If anybody wants to come in at our next meeting and bid higher, be here. If not, we're going to sell the tax sale certificate. If we sell it, the nice part is it immediately goes on your tax roll, and they start paying taxes. All the taxes have to be paid from that point forward, and they only have a 2-year window to foreclose that certificate, or else it's as if we never did this, and we could re-foreclose it or sell it to somebody else. So that's up to you guys, whether you want to additionally accept that bid, subject to the second round of notices, if you want to officially be there until our next meeting.
I'm not meaning to take them. And the other thing I'm wondering is, you just picked up somebody who bought the adjoining property, that I would wonder if they'd be interested in that as well.
Possible. The words of
I mean, we're not out anything prolonging it, a couple months. I mean, yeah, there's taxes we're losing, but I think there's a lot more here to gain than there is to lose by jumping on the first bid. I mean, we can let this guy stew a while, and, we don't have to take action. We know he's not gonna offer any less, this is his offer. And obviously, whatever contamination is there, it's not gonna get any worse. Gas station's closed.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
Well, the only risk you run from that, I'll just, put it out there, is, if he exceeds his deadlines to clean up, and the DEP decides to involve himself, which they do whenever they feel like it, they can put their own liens on it, they can clean it up and put, put a lien on it for far more than we have, which would further restrict and diminish the value of the property. And I don't know where, I have no idea where he is in his own process, but, it's a potential issue. I mean, they are tracking people's deadlines, and if you miss them, you're on the radar and you're gonna start accumulating fines.
Do you know when the deadline's up?
September, I believe. That was one of the factors that we did raise with me.
He never foreclosed on it though by September. Correct?
If he has an assignment, from the day we give him the assignment, he's guaranteed to get every cent he ever put into it
Back,
back. So it's a no-risk proposition at that point. I think with just the assignment, he's going to continue with DEP, as Wayne indicated, to satisfy those deadlines, which I think is part of the reason, Kevin, why he's at the number he's factoring into his costs to do the cleanup. Again, totally up to you guys.
I'll tell you, many times your first offer is the best.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad deal, to be perfectly honest with you, I really don't. I can't sit here and tell you guys, with any confidence that you're gonna get more than that if we foreclose on it and then just go out to public auction, because as I explained to Dave, we were talking about this earlier by phone. When we acquire judgment, once I record that, now we've got public auction. I can't really, it's a shame, because we can't really go out to auction with contingencies. Any rational buyer, Steve Babinski, been in business for 30 years, you gonna buy that coal? 40. No. 40. You're gonna put, you want some due diligence, you want this, you want that, which is perfectly reasonable. We don't have that kind of flexibility in the public sector, so we would have to go auction and say, hey, go buy this coal, and I wouldn't buy a coal for much more than what's being offered. So it's up to you guys.
So he gives us,
He would give us 68 grand a
68
day.
grand, yeah,
Next
I
month,
understand
you get a check, and he starts paying the tax.
and then,
Which, by the way,
if he doesn't
Seth's-
clean up, it's not our problem.
No.
Obviously, because we've been paid.
No, now he's in the chain.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be your problem either way.
Either way.
You're not,
Yeah, and
you're not
yeah.
taking the liability,
No.
but you're
Right.
taking on whatever the DEP does in the interim.
And you're also getting a property cleaned up, by the way. You're getting a guy who's willing to get in there and get that cleaned up, which I think is also an advantage to that. He's done his due diligence.
In reality, I do.
I'd kick it one more time. Can we count it?
We want to vote on it, or?
Well, we want to vote to conditionally accept this offer or not.
Any other
Because,
discussion?
no, I'll explain that one step further, because when I do the next round of notices, I would have to statutorily specifically put the offer that we're willing to take in that notice, which is his 68.5, if you were to vote that. And then that notice would say, hey, anybody else who wants to come higher, they have one more chance, including the property owner, at our next meeting. If not, that guy writes the check, it's done.
Do we have the ability after it goes out for the second notice to say we've changed our mind now, we don't want to do it? Or do we
I
have
think
to
we
follow?
could, one more time, to say now, we don't get a higher bid, ultimately reject that one, we could. But I think we should kind of make that decision.
That's an important question. So, if we
Well, let me put it
accept
this
it,
way. This is an optional Jones Act assignment procedure. I've gone through very meticulous and carefully, because we don't do it a lot. This is a
No, she
specific,
said she's never,
no, in 30 years, I haven't done very many ones either, but this is a specific statutory procedure where you're allowed to pay less
and what's
than
owed.
what's owed, provided you follow steps A, B, C, and D, and then the assignee, should we agree to take the 685, he has specific A, B, C, and D steps, because he has an expedited foreclosure process, and so on and so forth.
All right, just for entertainment value here, suppose we do assign this to him for the 68.5. Somehow miraculously, in the meantime, the landowner comes out and say, hey, I'm gonna pay this lien off, I want my property.
That's the whole purpose of the
But
notice.
what does the property owner pay? Does he pay what the bond,
No, he has to pay everything due.
everything due back to who now?
He's having us, we still hold the certificate.
Okay.
Which, I don't know whether, I get the impression the guy had the ability to do it, and let it get this far, you know?
Right,
I just drove by it tonight, there are people there, there's rentals,
Yeah, there's
rentals
tenants in there.
To Kevin's point, I asked Bob Dan, the next band's representative today, if he had any idea what the guy wanted to do with this. Got the high bidder on the school piece. And interestingly enough, his understanding is that it's just a blind investor. He drove by it, saw the school property, saw there's water and sewer, saw that there's potential for redevelopment, and just bought it with potential flip in mind.
There's a lot of schools,
Sight unseen.
a lot of schools that have been rehabbed, and
Yeah,
they're
no,
beautiful.
but my point being, I don't know that you're gonna get that kind of a guy to want to expand.
Or that kind of luck.
Cliff to this other piece or not, Kevin, I don't know. In other words, if it was a specific end user, like I wanna do A, it might be something to wait a month and talk around a little bit, but.
How much of the taxes you get, you think?
There's a lot of tax that's coming back if it goes on the books.
That'd be added on top as well,
Oh, sure.
or you're sitting it out.
You're gonna get another, you know, at least another 10 grand in taxes this year, which are just gonna keep accruing on a daily.
So now you're spending some thousand, so you're getting closer to what, you know, so that's, what I'm saying is that you wait and you
I've
just
seen
tax.
it in different situations, but I've seen this where you got one guy and he's willing to pay X, and there's nobody else, I've seen, then they come back and, well, you know, we'll give you 50 now.
My view on it personally, I represent a lot of clients with contaminated properties. You have a guy here that's already done the due diligence, has done the environmental, knows what he has to spend to clean it up. So we're gonna, at least do this assignment, we're gonna have a property that gets cleaned up environmentally, goes back on the tax rolls, gets foreclosed, and you already know you have a guy willing to spend money on his property because he's gonna clean it up. I kind of tend towards the Bergen.
So there's two outs, right? The first out is we got a month for someone else to come in.
Right.
And is it statutorily a month?
Well, it's statutory next week, so it's roughly, well,
All right, so that's the one out. And then the big question that Dave asked, if we get cold feet, can we pull the trigger and?
oh, yeah. No, that you can definitely do. It's an optional procedure. But any time during the day, you say, well, we didn't get any more bidders and we reconsider, don't want to do it, yeah.
Okay,
There's no binding contract here.
yeah, okay. I get on board with that.
I suggest we do just like you say, go on, put it back out there for the second go around, see if anybody else comes out of the woodwork, and
You
if
guys make
not,
the final decision at the next meeting.
you need that as a motion, Wanda, or not?
Yes, sir. Kevin, how would we word that to?
The motion to conditionally accept the bid of $68,500 for this, block 45.02, lot 13. So again, Kevin, conditionally accepting it. Subject to the additional notices and later the council to make a final determination.
You want to call a roll, or just put it on motion, Wanda?
Well, I have an awful lot of motions. Let's do it now,
I just
please.
know that somebody wants to say yes to that.
I'll say yes.
Well, wait, who's making the motions?
Steve, I just did.
Steve and,
Kevin
I
worded the
worded it,
motion.
right, Wanda? You got it?
right, yep,
Kevin seconded it.
okay. Babinski?
Yes.
Gray? Melvin?
Yes.
Stillo?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
Last thing there, again, another positive is I did get a response from Ben Esco over at Habitat. They are very interested, Steve, in that house.
Such as it is.
His question to me was, is there somebody we should start coordinating with on the property acquisition committee? We don't have that here, but, do you want to have somebody, or two of you, be the point people to meet with them out there, to work through that?
There's also a resident that was interested in that property as well. For redevelopment.
Neighbor or?
Contractor who lives in the township, who's actually just did Nancy's, was kind of looking on Nancy's house. The one that was burned? Fire?
No.
Oh, okay.
So he's looking to pick up on the property and
So, the benefit of the Habitat thing is that's gonna be an affordable housing.
I'd say that would be a unit that we could pick up.
Absolutely. And if you guys aren't sure, if you want to decide that, I can tell you, because I've seen it, I can ask Ben to come here for your next meeting, do a presentation, and show you what they do. They do a phenomenal job. The families that they work with, the Indians have to put several $100s of sweat equity into it. You end up with a good resident, and you get an affordable housing unit, which depending on what happens elsewhere in this town, you might be looking for something that's the thing I like best about it. But, and I also like the fact that Habitat does a really nice job.
It's good PR for the town.
Yeah, no, I think we continue with the Habitat route.
Do you guys have somebody, you want to have them here next month? Why not?
Yeah, have them come and just give us a 5-minute spiel or whatever.
Put on.
I know our church was looking to work with Habitat for Humanity, I guess
Yeah,
Lopez got
They're
some funds.
they're actually taking six lots from Franklin Township this month, and they're gonna put the first 2 up. They have this new program now where they just bring all the volunteers together. The houses on the first 2 lots are gonna go up in like 10 days.
It's like an Amish barn.
Yeah,
Barn race.
exactly. Well, I'm telling you, and I've talked to in fact, your construction official here, we have also have an MCA in Franklin. I've talked to the, I'm trying to think of the guy's name, because a long time ago, he retired.
Ray Stover, too.
Ray Stover's the new guy. Ray said that the houses are absolutely full. They go on the tax rolls, just because they're an affordable unit, they're taxable.
Right.
There's no difference there, so.
So have them come next.
Yeah, have them come next month.
Let me get Ben, and I think you guys will be really impressed with the PDF, a PowerPoint for you, Kevin, and you can make a final call.
I'm not saying it's not a noble
Yeah.
cost. I just
Oh, it's great.
passing on.
Yeah.
Have an up their meeting if they,
There was an inquiry by a
Oh,
resident.
yeah, I understand. And that was it, I think, that was the 3 big items I wanted to address with you guys.
all right.
Tax appeal wise, I did have a conference call with the judge. The judge is now pushing Pilsner Mall property owners heat to the fire. He's requirement to produce documents to me in the next 10 days, depositions by next month, and we're going to have probably September, October trial date. We did get a revised settlement offer, which is significantly higher than it was before. I'm not very surprised at it, because I don't think they want to give us some of the background documentation that might be sitting out there now with potential purchasers. In fact, to be honest with you, their own attorney didn't know that the property was under contract. And I believe that, because we know I'm not going to get into the veracity issue.
Yeah, but I mean, the buyer's attorney contacted our plant.
The tax appeal attorney is not the same guy.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And I actually, as professional courtesy, I
Hey,
said,
you're probably right, he probably didn't.
yeah, I said, look, there's a contract out there. I'm telling you, in fact, I confirmed with Jim Kyle. I had him call the group they met with and said, is this under contract? And he said, yes, it's under contract.
They believe so. They told us they weren't even sure that they were legitimately dealing with the owner to make people.
That's pretty sad. But we did actually get a significantly enhanced settlement offer, but it's not there yet. We're going to hold their feet to the fire for discovery. I would still rather, as Kevin indicated, we haven't paid the same installment, which I think is $10,000. Don't get much of that
For this
for
year.
our expert. And we'll broke it up. If I can say this, that, and resolve this, that's fine, but, I basically told them, the problem is, we can get 5 years of tax appeals pending. That's a lot of years. And, Jen's already done a great job adjusting 2020 a little bit. And I think we could deal with 19 and 18. We go all the way back to 60 in terms of appeals. I've basically told their attorney that any settlements, I told them, I said, "Oh, we're still paying off the first settlement.
Right, exactly.
I am not going back to my, I'd rather try this case and have some judge tell me I lose before I have to look my counsel in the eye and say,
You
"You're
need
gonna
to write
another
a check, right.
I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. So I told them they have to dismiss at least 2 years if they cost resettlement, and that, 18 and 19, you could adjust based on land value only, that would, you wouldn't go ahead and check, you could use some credit and so on and so forth. That, I think, would be realistic and rational. And we're just a little closer to that, because candidly, I don't think they're gonna authorize their attorney to spend the money necessary for a trial-ready appraisal. So I'm banking on that.
Right.
I'm banking on land value, and that's where we are. So the judge finally held a people fire, he was kind of upset with them. And, that's where we're at.
So everybody's out now, right? They evicted everybody, right?
From what I understand, there was some that was given till the end of March, the 23rd of March, I think. I actually met with a representative from the Weight Watchers that's in there. They were looking for additional space elsewhere, and they said they had till, I thought, March 23rd.
I have not heard, Wayne, I don't know if you have anything from Kyle or you about any further meetings on the warehouse.
We had our first one, we told them what was a definite no, and that was the last we heard from anyone.
How about the sewer issue? Have they come up with any of that additional?
They actually, the only thing they actually asked us last week was if they could run a hydrant test to check their water flows. So I gave them, contacts to start that process if they want to, but I haven't heard back on that either.
Wayne, do you have the old files from Cherry Weber in order that we can kind of reconstruct where we are in terms of flows? Because at some point, we're going to have to kind of get them.
I do have some.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things I think we need to, they sent us a will serve request for a lot of gallons, 68 or 69,000 gallons. At some point, we have to sit down and say, okay, these are our actual flows. We have a contract allocation of 520,000 gallons with Henry. There's supposedly another 20,000 that's not directly in the contract, but is referenced in the contract with the town. It says, well, PACCON is going to give up, credit us for 20,000 gallons of their capacity for their piece of the mall. It's all flows in our part. I've had some discussions with Katrina Campbell about that, and I think that's a resolvable issue. It's kind of just been floating out there. But the other big issue is, as I mentioned to you guys before, is I don't get the impression that PACCON is real hot for the warehouse. And the way they're proposing it, as Wayne will tell you,
50/50.
the coals would stand. So there's not enough room to do anything to the left of the coals other than basically that parking lot. And the whole warehouse thing goes to the right of it, that's gonna be, what, 40%, maybe 35%?
I would say 2/3 in Pohat,
And
the other third in there, yeah.
So you would definitely need a consolidation, both have to do that.
You want me to reach out to Mayor Mancucci?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, because I suggested to Katrina that, just like we did, we had a executive session, Jim Kyle, and just get some background and give him some direction. I don't think they've had that discussion with Jim yet. So we need to have that, but in any event, we're moving forward with defending the appeals. If we can close the gap, I consider it, but I can just tell you guys, I'm not coming back to asking you guys to write a check. It's not happening.
Kevin,
I'd rather try it.
where does that leave us? Suppose this mall does end up empty, vacant.
Oh, that's not called land values.
No, but I'm saying as
Oh,
far as
right.
our tax rateable from here forward, what are we
Jen
looking at?
basically reallocated most of the assessment to the landowner. And so she didn't really reduce it, she reallocated it. And she coordinated that with our expert and myself, and I think that's where we are. I think,
I mean, my biggest question when we go to do the budget, how much of a shortfall are we looking at, because this thing's sitting empty?
No, they're still getting the same tax bill. And they have to pay those taxes, on the button in order to maintain their appeal. It's a condition of their.
Right, no, I know that, right.
Having said that, again, I would like, Judge Novin is committed to getting this case, all the cases done, the several years before the case is filed this year. I checked with our expert, and, we got to check with the expert, we're looking probably at late September trial date. Meantime, as I said, I've put in a fairly firm line with their attorney, because I just,
You have to.
yeah.
At this point, I think that's the stance we need to take, and
And I can't really pull them, and I think it's kind of, we take for our planner, you guys do what you want. I want to work, I mean, if they have a reasonable offer, you can always sit here and talk about it, and have a potential set of the case, but, I had someone say, I said, if you get this guy this whole case, win-win's withdrawn, you're not coming into a receptive environment for any type of redevelopment.
no, absolutely, right, exactly. They need to keep that in the back of the mind,
Take that to the bank.
because, what they're proposing is it's not
Is that what
zoning.
you mean? Well, it's a fair, well, it's just sitting there now.
Right,
What's the
exactly.
difference?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And if we reduce the or reallocated the taxes, we're not out nothing if it sits there for 10 years then.
And this is a game that these guys are, play across the country. They're the biggest
Yeah,
mall
well,
owner in the country right now.
at this point, I think we can play chicken with them too and see who gives first.
But I am encouraged that we got a little closer to a realistic number. The old number was like $8 million for the whole mall, both.
Yeah, well, that was with Kohl's included.
that's everything.
Then they went
Yeah,
down to
that's-
5 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous.
Okay, but this is open checkbook, and,
Right.
you guys won the lottery. They got up to about 15 million total for both pieces, but Jen, our assessor right now, is our piece alone assesses about 15. So that's not going to work either, as I said, on a going forward basis, we can work with a little bit, so we'll see what happens. I think, it's funny, I feel good in the extent that they keep, I've offered nothing.
Right.
And they keep coming back and it's slowly reaching our way, so.
Like I said, it's a game of chicken, man, so we just need to hold our ground and do it.
And hey, we have to try it. I love our expert. You guys have been him. Well, you're maybe not, but you will. He's top flight, top of the food chain for state New Jersey.
And there's no way if we would win this case, we could go back after the wall for any legal fees, correct?
No, but luckily, as I said, we've been pretty efficient with those, and we will keep them forward. It's really
Didn't we do, counter appeals?
We did for 1 year. 1 year.
I know Lopax, I think.
Lopax got a few out there. They're kind of like a consortium claim that in the PI case, they're growing the claim. Let me put it this way. A counterclaim for an increase is, Judge will probably laugh at me. I go that route, but I think we're doing the job of holding the line that we have, but we do have one out there.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
We got, one thing more with Kevin and Wayne. I had asked for a traffic study
Oh, I did get the patch on.
from, Phillipsburg's huge massive warehouse.
Oh,
See
okay.
what sort of impact that would have on the roads that go by Cohasset Township. And Kevin got that for me, and I was stunned to see it's like 797 trucks
Yeah, it's a
a
lot.
day. Add that to what Alpha has in mind, what Wilpacom has on mind on Stryker's Road, what possibly might have going in the mall, and we have a crisis of traffic going on. And I was talking to Wayne earlier, you want to tell him, you've got the Alpha traffic study too.
Do you have that?
What your
I provided it.
what your recommendation would
There's
be
more than
for-
200 feet of that one, I
for,
would think.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, yeah. But, I think I might have brought it up before, but,
Yeah, we're talking about the joint project.
yeah, Alpha had, obtained a $300,000 grant to make, intersection improvements to Industrial and 122. The follow-up to that, if they need to make more improvements, is they're gonna apply again for a traffic light. And they would assess, additional costs to developers if that was warranted. I brought it up in my meeting with the DOT, and basically their stance is, I mentioned the freight grant that's available. If we were to approach that and try and do a joint application with the three towns, basically to take the money, even if we just, even if it was used for a study of the corridor to figure out what the problem was, they said the more political pressure and towns that would come to them, the more they would take it seriously, and value the grant. But, if we don't act proactively towards it, yes, it's their road, but they basically said that, so this thing's gonna get built if they approve it, because it meets their criteria.
Has it been approved, Wayne, or is it still in process?
Which one?
The Alpha.
Alpha's approved.
It is approved.
Yep. And, Phillipsburg's approved and,
Right, okay.
quarter under construction. But the Alpha project is only one of the Alpha projects. They have another
Oh,
one
okay.
that isn't even in front of the planning board that Woodmont Properties is doing for 400,000 or 500,000 square feet. And it's on the other side of 78. I don't know much about it.
I mean, I know, former Kern, now freeholder Kern, and the freeholders are doing, got a grant from the Highlands to kind of do an analysis of all the warehouse potential in the county and how it relates to Highlands. I mean, I think over here, our Highlands backs right up to our developed area, so I think that study might touch upon that. I think Wayne's idea to get as much help and input as we can, but as far as the corridor study would be great. I don't know how we would start that, Wayne.
I can go, if it's something we wanted to consider, again, it's not
You
asking,
need to know the number.
it's not asking the township to put up any
Right.
money. This is a grant application, and starting a dialogue with DOT, because what I was getting to is what he basically said is if we approve this project that's coming before the planning board soon. I'm not saying we will, it's just the variance plan at this point.
Oh, the warehouse.
But yes, they want 1.2 million square feet, they are proposing a traffic light, that would help. But what's gonna happen is that if these things are built and whatever the problems that result are, it's gonna be years before it's going to be able to get on their radar to study, and then years more before they would do anything to actually improve the situation. So, in my mind, the best thing we could do would be to start some sort of a dialogue and if they can fund it or whatever the case may be, hire a joint traffic consultant through the grant and get them to figure out what needs to get done. That way, we're not years behind if these things come online and are truly a problem.
Wayne, I don't know if you ever saw it. I know Steve has seen it, I've seen it, I think they've seen it. You guys remember the thing that, it looked like an amusement park ride that the DOT proposed. Steve, remember that thing?
That's what my brother
With the
saw.
overpasses and the underpasses?
They were nuts.
This and- It literally looked like.
I had some derogatory things to say about it.
I think you compared
DOT
it to Six Flags or something. It was that crazy, because it's a very difficult thing, because you have these developed areas, and you certainly have overutilization of the roads already.
But they did
That's
that,
Ingrid's point to getting these studies.
they've done that all along Route 22 though.
though.
They do have, like in North Plainfield where I grew up,
Yeah, we
there's
may-
like 5 overpasses over Route 22
We may be,
with jug handles
We
and
may
everything.
be-
It does work. It actually does work.
yeah. I think.
But what they wanted to do here was,
I think we need the county, and I think whatever we can do, municipality together.
There's all these isolated traffic
Right.
studies like they have.
It's a
this
regional
one,
issue.
this one.
It's a regional
It's-
issue.
it's 22 is bad enough as it is. Once all these things get activated, we won't be able to cross the highway and get that.
I mean, Remington Barrack is an Alpha, right?
We'll have
They're the township engineer,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I know Paul Sturbins is Lopat,
Yep.
and I think Hubert too, isn't he?
No, it's Stan Schreck.
That's Stan
Yeah.
Schreck. I think we need, I agree, I think we should coordinate and make a joint application.
Coming off of 78, that intersection,
Oh.
where the jug handle is,
Right.
for tractor trailers heading to Alpha, it's not large enough to.
Well, not only
handle the
that,
traffic
like,
that's gonna come in.
Because I come from Williams Township a lot, because my girlfriend happened to be there. Now, if you get off that, if you're heading eastbound and get off that intersection, and you make that left, now, if you're trying to make that jug handle, you gotta get all the way to the right while those other cars are coming up. I'm telling you, I'm amazed. Chief, there must be a million accidents there, I don't know, but
I'm just hearing what you guys are saying.
I've almost
I
gotten it.
understand what's gonna be happening.
Tom's finest had a truck pulled over the other day, it was making a left turn on Route 22, where it's just a left turn.
But it's a very, but like I said, as crazy as that old deal, there is an old plan out there, Wayne, that was,
That goes back.
and they,
That goes back 15 or 20
I was
years.
gonna say 20 years probably.
but you know what, that's their, as Wayne said, that's their cycle. We're towards the end of that 20 years, maybe it's time to dust that off,
But
update
there were
all this stuff.
overpasses, and then they were gonna go behind Raymore and Flat,
Yeah.
and with the access to get over and...
I mean, even if it's something as simple as, you know,
Talking about moving to Strong Church.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
It wasn't even-
widening roads and things would even, you know, like, the problem is this new project at Romano Farm is, it only goes so far, and then you have more properties before you get to the highway. And that's gonna ultimately be the pinch point, you know, and so, you know, but it would take years to get, you know, additional right-of-ways or, you know, whatever, and, you know, again, if there was some process that started discussion of, you know, this is what we should look at least, you know, 3-4 years when all this stuff is now up and running, we're not 10 years from the solution.
One on 78.
Yeah, that can help
I
too.
think
I
we
would-
should be future proactive here
Well-
and get on this.
I had inquired at the county that if they had considered putting in an additional exit at 519, and that would be trying to bring some of that traffic this way.
Right.
And they said that wasn't even a thought. But originally, there was an exit to put the wind on, whether it was exit 1 or 2 or whatever, but it's there. But it was thought of, but
Well, yeah, Carpenter's, yeah, they're the.
Yeah.
I don't know, Wayne, do you need some type of authorization from us to initiate that?
I mean,
Consensus, show of hands?
if it is just something to explore, I mean, again, I'd be happy to reach out
I
to
agree
the
with you.
adjacent municipalities and see if it's something that they, you know, their councils and their,
Because, you know,
would
I
be
agree.
interested in doing. Because again, it's not a cost to the township, this would
Because
be
the other thing
a,
I agree with you guys, and we've had this discussion with Jim Kyle, you know, you guys are all that. I said, wait a minute. You know, we also have the protection of your own tax base, and if everybody else is gonna flood these roads with traffic, why should we be the bearer of the burden and not approve any warehouses in our community because we have a regional traffic concern? Nobody else has the same regional traffic concern, so it's a waste.
Today, I personally
Yeah.
prefer to pay more taxes than see Ramona Farms with his corn on it,
Yeah.
than 1.2 million square feet of warehouse space. And I think a lot of residents would rather
Yeah.
see that as green rather than 40 trucks in front of them in the morning trying to get on.
Well, that would have to go out the back. You know, that variance is gonna have to.
their proposal was to come out to 1.2.
They're gonna come out, yeah.
Well, and that's, if you guys recall, that's why I had,
Well, yeah, we recall, but-
they wanted us to amend the zoning ordinance to change the FAR code. I said, and Steve, the land use board, and all you guys, we said no to that because we would have no leverage at that point
probably no
to
control of that.
require alternate access. But that variance coming in, that's a use variance, an FAR variance.
I understand.
You guys will have enormous leverage to either get that right or keep it cornered. They conform it indefinitely. But I do think the regional, because even if we don't do it there, if the mall redevelops, the regional concept, it's overdue.
Wayne, you work for Alpha, correct?
No,
No.
you're the only Warren County municipality I represent.
Okay, so then it would be other entities you'd
Paul
be
Servant, I
interacting.
know, I work with Paul, I know, you probably know Paul,
Yep.
Van Cleve, been around forever. Well, and Alpha is our foreman.
Yeah, Paul's with Mazer, and then Remington and Vernick, is in
And
Alpha.
Stanton.
Okay.
And, you know, I do know that Alpha was interested in doing more of a study, and that's all it is asking, you know, for additional grant funding through this program to, you know, and again, it doesn't matter whose consultant does it, whoever has the most experience with traffic is the best person to pick, but to have them, you know, just take the DOT's money and help us figure out our problem.
Does
That's
anybody have a problem reflecting in the minutes that we're
the overall dialogue.
authorizing to open that dialogue, and let's get that going? And I can't see that remotely hurting.
There's no commitment we're making
We
there.
can do the motions for that, or
No,
just tell
I'm
them.
saying, we'll just put it in the
That's fine.
minutes.
Yep.
Wayne's got the direction on that. And Ingrid, I will get the additional traffic studies from Paul Sterling, happens to also have to see the strike, he has the Strikers Road studies, and Wayne gave you the other ones, I figured Wayne probably had
And I
them.
looked at the counties has stated 2018, which doesn't take into context all the other things that have popped up in the past
Since
2
then,
years.
right.
Very isolated.
Well, what's former Mayor Kern call this, silo planning or something? I'm not sure where he got that acronym. It was an interesting article he had, but.
We also had one for Albany. There was a traffic study, it was a young guy came from the land sport. And that's about 3 years ago.
And again, that's the funny thing, is every one of these studies
Their own little
is getting,
studies, their own
but they're
little
also,
piece.
well, they're also just getting more progressively out of date. So even the Granada Farm study, they did it a year and a half ago. Preliminarily looked okay. Since then, 1 million square feet of warehouse has come online, that's not part of their study. So,
And there's
studies that big.
there's more coming online.
More than that.
Traffic count said. I don't know, did you see?
Well, those are on 20, those are gonna be on 22,
Right,
it's
right.
not really, but, and again, that's the other problem is, they are on emptying out of the DOT roads. If they empty out on the 122, doesn't matter what we say, what happens on 22 is not their problem. It's a total, even though that is contributing to a problem, it's not their problem.
Well, the other thing, guys, don't forget, we recently also had a meeting with EAI, the principal, and that residential project, Wayne, as you know, is definitely happening.
Meeting them tomorrow.
All that residential traffic, to the extent any of those people have to get out for work in the morning, that's gonna go on the 122, and they're,
How many trips a day per house? Like 4 or 6 or something?
Say 10, which is, it's inflated, realistically. I think you're looking at 6, 3.
and they wanna do another potential, project on the last,
57 units, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on out here that screams for a
Sound does.
regional study.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's try to keep her moving here, we're gonna be.
That was it.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's move on to, Township Council reports. We'll start with you, Steve.
Alrighty, the DPW report from January 21st to February 18th. They salted the roadways throughout the township, also parking lots and sidewalks at the municipal building and Cohasset School on 126, 22, and 28. They power washed all the equipment used in the ice and snow storms. Salted icy spots created from groundwater running on the roadway at Creek Road and Folks Boulevard. They checked and cleaned drainage throughout the township after heavy rainstorms. Changed damaged ceiling tiles in the court meeting room, court clerk's office, zoning office, CFO office, and hallways in the municipal building. Chipped up Christmas trees at the drop-off site, the DPW garage. Trimmed and chipped up trees on Edge Road and River Road. They repaired and painted a wall around the new heater installed in the entrance of the municipal building. Installed a chair rail in the waiting area outside of the courtroom. There was a sewer backup in the lateral at 701 Cohasset Street. Again, checked our sewer main and flow was normal. They ran the sewer machine in the sewer main at 701 Cohasset Street. Again, flushed the sewer main on Cohasset Street with the fire department's 3,000-gallon tanker. Again, ran our sewer camera in the sewer main at 701 Cohasset Street. Again, sent a picture to the resident and her plumber showing our sewer main and her lateral connection showing no problems. The problems in the homeowner's lateral. They met with Councilwoman Gray to coordinate the cleaning out of the old Shimer School for the auction. Thanks for that. So, couple things for the budget is, there are some roof leaks in the DPW garage and the municipal court office. And we are going to need to hire, at least a DPW laborer. That's it.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. Ingrid?
Okay, I have both the December and January Health Department reports. I don't know if I need to read through all of them. There's like about 20 items, they're like failed septics and so forth. A little bit of food poisoning, possible like Castle, and another incident at Petco, Yaki Grill and Sushi, but those were cleared and those files were closed. And, with regards to Villa Milagro, it was explained to me by Pete at the health office that the county requires wineries to buy a license, and they haven't done that, so it's not a big deal, as far as I mean, they just haven't gotten the license, so it's not like an operational thing, it's more,
No coronavirus?
No. And so I also have, just real quick, just some pictures and to discuss a couple issues that arose with Cameron School, so I have a PowerPoint. Yeah, please. And I think it's important for you to see pictures of what's going on over there, so you can understand the scope of the issues of what we've got to deal with. So, okay, I attended the first open house at Shiner School on January 28th. Max Span had a nice table set up in the corner with information about the school, along with bidding registration forms, and you can, whoops. You can see on the right side of the hallway there's this nice table. What you can also see is on the far side of the table by the door, you see that cardboard box that's on top of several open bags of garbage. There's also one on the right side in the foreground that is poor quality. You can sort of see out trash bags hanging on the board, trash sitting on these files. I walked in there, I was like, oh my God, what a mess. I assumed, as maybe you did, that the building was empty and presentable for the open house, and it was a mess. I walked into the auditorium where I used to have lunch, and the last time I was in there, I was there for a grade school reunion, and this is what I encountered. These file boxes that were neatly placed over there, I'm assuming at one time, were all over the place, and apparently the building had been used for drills and to simulate whatever situations when they go through a building, they created these barriers and whatever. It was an absolute mess. And so this is our open house. This is what they saw on day one of our open house. It was horrible. I walked through the classrooms besides the bullet casings. What do you call them on the floor from the shoot? Yeah, lots of, everywhere you walk, even on the steps, they were just rolling around in there. It was awful. It was a little disconcerting. Not to mention all the garbage, coffee cups, water bottles, and crap everywhere. Bookcases were disconnected from the walls and moved out to create barriers for drills. Again, more garbage in there. The mess went on and on from hallways, stairwells, classrooms, bathrooms, and as a council member, I was embarrassed, so I immediately tried to obtain a key to the school so I could go up and clean it up prior to our next open house. However, due to employee absences, I was unable to procure one until Monday, February 3rd, the day before the second open house, and Steve of DPW gave me the padlock key. That Monday, I spent several hours reorganizing the auditorium. Township record boxes were in disarray. Building had been used for blah, blah, blah. I said all that already. Fortunately, I found an 8.5 by 11 map of how the records were once organized on the floor, and I followed that map. I also cleaned classrooms and filled 8 construct with garbage bags, which the DPW later came and picked up. So that's what it looked like before. That's before. This is the auditorium after. This is what it looked like for the second open house.
Can I hire you for my house?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's incredible.
Well, I think it's important for you to understand what they were looking at for our first open house. We want to sell this darn school. We should have had it looking better, don't you think? So, the potential sale and reorganizing of the auditorium and the school has led to certain issues. Number one, getting rid of items, old chairs, mattresses, sofas, chaise lounge, etc. I had a nice meeting with Jeff and Donnie. They came over to the school, we made a list. Here's an item.
Can I just interject too as well? I did get an inquiry from Max Spanners during the lead up to the auction. And I did confirm to him, because this was what we had said for the last auction, so I assume it was the same, that we will ultimately remove at least the boxes, in conjunction with closing.
Coming up.
And Wanda, I would also say in that regard, and for you as well, since you did all this work, if we need more time or something, since we have a pretty short closing date, we don't know what.
Coming up, Kevin. More to come on that.
I will work with you guys collectively to make sure we can buy time.
So that's one, the stuff sitting around in there, that's just kind of garbage and junk. items of historical interest, and then the proper handling of the township records, which Kevin was just referencing there, and other junk. So getting rid of the items, old chairs, and so forth, with Steve Kaminsky's approval, I met with Donnie and Jeff with the DPW at the school, gave them a list of items for relocation. They took a walkthrough with me through the building and saw the items that needed to be removed. They also noted that the big building dedication plaques on the wall could be unbolted for relocation if we want to save those. Much, they pointed out, would go into dumpsters. There are toilets sitting there, roll boards, mattresses, chairs, etc., miscellaneous garbage. So we have that to deal with. Now, to that end, Donnie was kind enough to get 3 quotes for getting dumpsters to deal with that stuff. So, I guess what the lowest quote is, Gary Gregg? Ray Gary?
Gary Gray.
No, I guess, no, Eleanor, yeah. So we do have dumpster prices that we got for getting rid of those, and the bidder that came through, the guy who was a high bidder, wants to jump out of there. Now, items of historical interest, Ron is not interested in getting moldy stuff back in the building, and, you know, other than throwing it out, I know for Shimer Mansion, we would be loving to get some of these things. So we have the voter boxes there, the green boxes there, chairs, flag, and yesterday, Catherine Fisher, thank you. I moved the items, everything except for the chairs, over to Shimer Mansion. We had them outside, we disinfected them, killed the mold, and moved them into Shimer Mansion. So the only thing left to do are the chairs, which are going to be a little bit more work, because I'm going to have to bleach those for the wood. But otherwise, the voter boxes, the flag, and dry cleaning. Excuse me, so everything else is out, okay? So that's done. Items of historical interest, well, I talked about the 2 plaques that are bolted to the wall, which Donnie and Jeff said could be unbolted and moved. There's a school children time capsule, which was under the auspices of our Township Historical Commission, and Kevin, you said that Roehampton School would be interested in having that.
That was just an idea. I thought what we could do is take the cover off, put a plexiglass something on there, and people can see the guts, the inside of it. And I think we need to, I mentioned it to Rainey Melvin, who sits on the school board, to talk to the principal and see if that's something they'd be interested in.
Good. And since it was a historical commission item, I think that should come up at the next historical commission meeting. Cornerstones, cupola, et cetera, we'll have to see what the developer wants to do, but I think, having talked to that bidder today, I think he likes the quaintness of it.
I think he does like
Proper handling of township records that have been stored there since the mid-2000s needs to happen. This is critical. There are piles of boxes marked destroyed. There are 2 separate piles. One is in the front foyer leading down to the auditorium, and the other is in the rear left of the stage. Jeff said that Poe had a county incinerator permit for those, but that had expired and the incinerator is no more. So we have these 2 piles of things that were previously supposed to be destroyed that were not. Wanda pointed out to me that there is a state law, records retention disposal, very interesting to read that, and you have it, and the police chief has it, and it's just different lifespans for documents.
Right.
You can't just throw out, shred, destroy township records. Cannot. It must go through a process of requesting approval for every single document.
On that, I was going to ask, the ones that were marked destroyed, are those ones we had already gotten approval?
No,
from GRC?
no, we were trying to keep them separate, because when she was saying that she found the map,
Right.
like, we would put all the municipal clerk's files, all the tax collector, all the assessor, and then we kept in a separate area everything we knew we could get rid of.
So Ingrid, I actually agree, as part of this whole sales process, maybe we can go through those records with Wanda. We have to send a request to GRC to destroy. And
Right.
then we can maybe take these right to destruction instead
Right.
of trying to find a...
Yeah, and take a look here, Kevin.
Yeah.
The picture on the left,
Right.
mold.
Yeah.
The picture on the right, these are land use maps, survey maps, or permanent records. They're, that pile that you see is sort of in the center here, I can't seem to make my little
Maybe we'll find a school
thing.
survey in there.
The flat ones on top of the rolls, those were on the floor, and when I lifted them up to put them in an organized pile on the stage, they were sticking together and coming apart. They're absolutely a mess. I don't even know how any document professional document handler would identify what they are. Disgusting. Cohacon also needs a plan to move them in a timely manner prior to closing. Wanda is meeting with the company that manages, it's a state contractor company?
No, this company that I found in the municipal clerk's newsletter this month is a company called Access, and she's coming out Friday. Her name's Joanne McKinley. She's done this for several other towns. My concern is, you know, she said she will help us, because I said, we have record retention here that we can do, and I can do that, but the main thing is to get this stuff out. But the problem is going to be, she said, they work with Easter Seal, so they'll come, they'll identify the records, help us do record retention. I'll log in, give my Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and the documents that if we want to scan or save anything, and I told her there's going to be mold issues. And she said then they wouldn't be able to touch them, but they might have to call in another company to do remediation, and there's going to be an expense with this.
Wanda, what percentage-wise of the records are with the school? Don't you think about 75% we could get you permission to destroy?
I think so. I thought when we were aware that there was the water leak, Wendy, Carrie, and I went and got our stuff that we knew to be permanent records. It appears that there might have been some land use stuff, but it might have been additional sets, I don't know. So I'd like to sort of see what they are and then see if Barbara has them.
I would also say, Ingrid, and for the benefit of the council and the public, is that the picture you showed of the paper maps, by and large, those are probably mostly preliminary file maps that you wouldn't necessarily call co-permanent, because in subdivision context, they have to be, Mylars and everything else have to be recorded in the county clerk's office. So, I won't be too, I know it looks bad there.
That's just a small file, but there's a whole pallet, there's actually 2 pallets of this stuff, and they're equally damaged.
You know, especially like, see those big round ones?
Mhm.
That, I can tell you right now, that's a preliminary application, because that's where you have to have all the details. Now,
Okay.
that's meaningless, because then, for every preliminary, there has to be a final one sheet. So, I think, and again, and I know Wanda's brought this up many times over the years, it's just, storage is a major issue.
Yeah,
But
we're on that.
hopefully we can get rid of all these, instead of putting them in a trailer somewhere, or
Right.
most of them.
Regarding storage, Chief Rob was kind enough to come out and to school and take a look at what police records were there. Indeed, some records date back to Chief Murphy, which goes way back, maybe before some of us were born. And when he opened the drawer to look at Chief Murphy's records, he opened it up and it was full of mold. You can't touch it, you know? Do we need those Chief Murphy records?
We just need to get permission to store.
So he said that he has 3 trailers, 3 20-foot trailers over by the mulch pile in the back of the municipal building, and one is just about empty, or we could use one for temporary storage. So I went over and looked at it, and he did tell me about he could take some bikes out of it. But when you look in this trailer, in the way back, it is filled with boxes against the wall. In the middle are pallets of wall tile from when the building was rehabbed. Just sitting in the middle, big pallet of it. Should be gone, it's just there in the way, taking up space. But there would be a lot of space there, and we could utilize the metal utility shelves that were dismantled by the police in Shimer, and use them to help stack the boxes up in there. I know the records are damaged, but at least we could get them out of school in some place, right? And then, of course, we're not going to bring moldy records into the township building, or our police would have some situation like Phillipsburg, right, where they had to move their police headquarters. Shipping containers run $4,500 for a 40-footer. That would adequately store all those records. We could buy one outright for $4,500. So we need to make a decision regarding storage, temporary storage, and records retention and disposal. It has to be made. Now, in touring township storage space in the police section, another issue is revealed that we need to deal with. In the mechanical room, we've got these units, equipment, copper pipes, things that have no functional value that were just left there by the contractor when this building was rehabbed, that we could sell. This is just taking up space in the police headquarters, valuable storage space. It's just sitting there, it's just junk. This is just a mechanical room, some angles of it. Check that out. Storage space not being used. This big unit, I don't know what it is, but it's not functional, it's huge, and it takes up space.
That's just an electrical panel. That's an old eye-line, security eye-line.
Well, it's too bad, but the police headquarters are just, they're just stuck with this stuff. You know, they've got their needs too. It's just awful. And this is off the electrical room, these pictures. So, the township, I recommend, must take inventory of these leftover construction objects taking up space, inventory old useless equipment, and I think we ought to move towards having an auction or a sale offering of these items to the public to get it out of the way.
No,
I think we need to get on that.
Ingrid, I'm thinking some of that stuff that you had the prior picture of down in the police, is that some of that geothermal stuff we paid for and then never?
Right, never
Yeah,
used. Some of that is.
because we had to abandon, so that might have some value, Ingrid, that's a great point.
I know we paid a lot of money.
Pay a lot of money for that
Yeah,
stuff.
why not
Unfortunately, the
inventory
stuff-
all the junk and sell it?
Well, we never went to the building.
The other problem is it goes out of date real fast too, and,
Technology.
We, now,
Yeah.
we have the ability to do online auctions for that
Let's
stuff.
do that.
I'll make a motion right now.
I'm a volunteer, I'm good dealing with
Well,
stuff.
hang on here, we need to stay focused. Our main concern at this point is the old records.
Right.
That's priority one.
We should get back.
Okay. The other point to note is that it was pointed out to me by one of the DPW guys that on the upstairs where we have our storage space, our archives, much as it has been consumed by Granite Township court records. Swallowing up our space.
And being the fact that we handle the court, we have to house those records technically.
Yeah.
I did reach out to Cindy, when we renegotiate, if we ever get to the point where we extend or, renew the shared service, I'm going to see if it's possible for us to, in that negotiation, ship some of those records back over to Greenwich's building.
That's where they should go. And again, is there a time that we have to keep them, and how many years?
Yeah, Cindy did say that certain things they can, get rid of sooner than others, but some things that, you know, was 7, 8, 10, 13 years,
And I think we
depends.
should get GRC approval to do some of the older stores at the Greenwich facility.
But then get a container.
It had to be, only accessible by court, employees.
Employees, yeah.
Also, I know, because it just came up in Franklin, because at the back of our municipal building in Franklin, there's a whole big recreational area, and they need storage for all their, basketball, and all that stuff, for sports equipment. I have a committeeman, Samson and Human, Mike Fair.
Yeah, you all know Mike very well.
I know Mike well. Mike has a contact for the trailers you were mentioning, Ingrid, and he also said there's two different kinds, and maybe there's a kind that is sealed from any type of varmints and the mice and all that stuff, which I think would be important for our records. And Mike has a contact that you can get one of those pretty inexpensively, as I understand it, and that might be a nice short-term solution.
Yeah, I can reach out to Mike, that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
and I'll text you and remind you of that. I think that would be a good
It would be
idea.
nice if we had this
Yeah,
rolling.
it's I think it's way less than $4,500, but it's important to get the one that's sealable.
So, lastly, I didn't know this, but the township does not recycle paper. Did you know that? I like recycling. Okay, so,
That's what we did.
blah, blah, blah. That's it.
But I'll be meeting with the woman from Access on Friday morning up at the Shimer School.
Is it your view, you think that
And she-
trailer would be useful to us?
She's gonna give us a proposal, so I can bring that back to council for consideration at the next meeting, which will be March 7th, I
It
think.
needs to happen before that one. We can't sit on this thing. I mean, we want to take this to closing sooner than later. I'm
I
not
thought we're
gonna wait
close.
until next council meeting to take action on this. I don't know how everybody else feels. The records have been up there for 8 or 10 years. Right, I mean, this needs to happen. I'm not waiting 30 days.
Well, she's getting-
You know, you get a proposal, you bring it back to us, and we'll have to find a way to make it happen.
In the interim, maybe we could, the DPW can afford the time to clean out that police trailer, and we can get the boxes of those records that we can't necessarily throw away without approval, just get them out of there, like remove some of the pallets of stuff, and then the important things, like what you want is clerk files. There's one long aisle that I meant to point out, it's just all clerk, it comes in length of the
Yeah,
auditorium.
and I think they may be things that can go also.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to lose this sale just because we can't get this cleaned up.
And we won't, so I'm okay, Dave, if we need to get the quotes and everything set up, because we have 2 meetings in March anyway, number one. Number two, just like I did with the first bidder, I'll work out for you guys essentially a use not occupancy, just a use not occupancy agreement.
What?
60, 90 days post-closing, just to organize ourselves to get rid of that stuff.
What's our meeting in March?
I'm not worried about that.
9
March
and,
3rd,
Yeah.
is it, March 3rd?
yeah, it'll be March 2nd.
March 2nd?
I'll give you, because don't
Or
forget.
3rd? Maybe it's the 3rd. I think it's your,
No, I realize that, but I don't want them, for us to default on the contract because we can't produce the property.
As somebody said, I did actually set up the guys.
It has his contract.
So.
Right, but even though it is as is, I understand that, but we need our records.
Yeah.
The garbage, hey, whatever, I get that part, as is as is.
Why don't I reach out, I actually asked for the attorney's information at the bottom. I'm gonna get him whatever back title. And, I will, you talk to Mike Ferry. Wanda, you're already getting estimates.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll get this set up.
Jeff wants to say something.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, I mean, Scotty can probably vouch for this too, chief. There's not gonna be much room down that downstairs to be able to put in. Because we gotta be able to get to some of them panels, which I had a hard time getting to when we had that brown. It's a fire hazard.
No,
We're not
and
making that.
the thing is, Jeff,
Just get this stuff out.
we're not proposing putting any of these files downstairs. What Ingrid's stressing, we need to get this stuff out downstairs so it's not a hazard. Whatever's usable, okay, if we can sell it, sell it. If not, get a dumpster here, you guys got a dumpster here already.
It should go to the scrapyard.
Right, I'll just do the stuff with you guys and say, hey, this isn't any good, it has no value, dumpster. Hey, this, maybe we can get something, put it on the auction or whatever. I'll go through it with you guys, absolutely.
There's
I
some
mean,
brand new electrical panels down there.
right, that eyeline panel's probably $10,000.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
We can put that up on auction, just like we did with the building.
Absolutely.
Without you guys saying it,
Right.
because that's money.
And as I said, I'll be more than glad to go through it. I mean, like you said, there was some paint left around. Yeah, you gotta keep some paint around because you gotta touch stuff up occasionally. You have to use your common sense as to what to keep and what not to keep. But,
I just don't want everybody thinking there's room to put stuff.
no,
Back down in that building.
absolutely. I understand.
And in geothermal, the reason that stayed there is, you recall, we had protracted litigation over the closeout of that contract. And so there was a time where we touched nothing because we were in the city.
Right. Once we got done,
Once we
all
got everything
settled,
resolved, it
right.
just kind of stayed. Now, I think it's a great point, Ingrid. Some of that stuff we can auction off,
Get some more.
get some money in the till, whatever we can. Steve's right. Just chip any of the metals off to recycling and get done with it.
You should too get a
Chief
heating
needs that cleaned out.
contract
Chief
down
could
there.
probably use that for something.
A lot of pipes are
Got all that space down there?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We need to probably get dumpster.
valves. That you might not need, but you might be able to just run in line. You know what I mean?
Right.
I understand about getting the stuff out from downstairs, but it sounds like the first priority is to get, like, the 20-foot trailer cleaned out.
Yep.
So, but, like, there's a whole pallet of tiles and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but I think it's a waste of time to try to think that we can get any money for it.
No, I agree.
Not that.
Right, but like, so any of those building materials that aren't there, I know me and Jeff discussed, I'm not comfortable saying throw it out, because it's not my stuff.
You want me to come down and
No, no, if you just say, listen, if you give me permission and Jeff permission, that, you know, later on, it's not gonna come back on us that we threw it out, we have no problem saying get rid of it.
Yeah.
But we don't wanna make that decision without
No, no.
you guys
At this point in
allowing
time,
us.
I'd get at least a 20-yard dumpster parked outside.
you got one already, right, Jeff? You got it roll off back there?
We got one, we can put some stuff
Start putting in.
The other issue is
Still gonna need another.
if that 20-foot trailer fills up that I can open space to, there's absolutely no room back there for a 40-foot trailer.
Physically another one.
Yeah, we have the mulch pile, we have all the DPW stuff out in the back, then on our side, we have those trailers that I'd love to get rid of,
It's fine.
but, you know, I think the rec asked us to hold on to the trailer for them, so there's no room. We'd be putting it in the middle of where we have to go through, and it's bad enough we have, you know, court with 100 and some cars that we gotta portion off the driveway anyway. So I think we need to focus on that part of it to say, can we just, even if it's, instead of putting it on shelves in that 20-foot trailer, just stacking all the boxes and taking a box at a time, and when we have time to get the retention, I don't think it needs to be stacked neatly. I think just get them in, shut the thing, and then make a plan to just, you know, do the destruction at a time that's feasible. Because we only have a limited time on closing to get it out. And I think that's the most important thing right now, is that part. Instead of worrying about trying to stuff another 40-foot trailer back there, I think we can work with the space that we have.
Space that we have.
We just have to,
I think you should fix it.
Well, why don't
You can get a lot of
motion to
20-foot trailers.
Why don't we make a motion?
Stack
you're not gonna be able to
properly.
have anything where you can walk neat through it
Right.
and be able to look at boxes. You're gonna have to
You're gonna stack them
start
in the
eating
back.
in there
Yeah.
and stuff it in just for the time being until we can get time, maybe get, you know, there's a lot of kids that wanna do internships in the summer. Who's to say we can't get a couple kids to do internships, come in, assist with the thing, but I don't think it's feasible right now to get the retention done. I think we're on
Why don't we make a
too much of a
motion?
time crunch.
Why don't we make a motion to authorize the chief and the DPW to clean up our existing trailer and to get a dumpster to the extent they need one to do so?
Yeah, I'll make
Get rid of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. That-
Okay, Babinski?
Yeah.
Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yeah.
Stillo?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes,
That's done.
I'll come down and go through it with you guys as well. That way you're off the hook.
And why don't we have Dave, I'll coordinate with Mike Ferry, so we can do, there might be smaller trailer options, number one. You guys in the meantime can look and see if there's another trailer back there we should get rid of. And I'm going to specifically reach out to the buyer's attorney and make sure they have no problem giving us, you know, I'll ask for 6 months. I'll give us, give us 6 months, you know, it's not gonna be a big problem.
No,
It is
don't,
going back.
no,
You don't wanna
no.
go, no, not just to get rid of this stuff.
No, you don't need 6 months to
He
get
wants it
that
out
out of
right
there.
away.
I give an
He
extra
told
2
me
weeks.
today he wants it out. as soon as
90
possible.
days is the farthest I want to see this thing go out.
I'd say
That
2
puts
weeks
us
or a
in
month.
March, April, May. Once this warms up, if he wants to start working on it,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the reason why you can't take ownership.
Why for 90 days, because Wanda.
No,
the
no,
reason
no,
I
don't
asked
say
you-
90 days. No, no,
But Wanda, how long is GRC gonna, see, what I'm trying to work out is, we don't bring a lot of those documents back anywhere, we just get rid of them, but how long is the GRC approval for destruction gonna be, you think, realistically?
I don't know, because I've never really done it, and there's so many different documents up there, and other department heads have refused to go up there because of the condition of it. They don't want to be exposed to mold and asbestos and lead
We
paint.
could take this PowerPoint to Ingrid and send it down to GRC and say, look, we just gotta.
So, I'm hoping
30
that
days.
with this woman
30 days.
that I meet with Friday, that she said they're used to doing it, and I begged her, I said, we're under a big time crunch, you know, can you try to move this? And she said she would, so
You're saying?
I'm hopeful. I can't swear to anything.
30 days.
Yeah, 30 days.
He wants to start right away.
Yeah, I don't, we don't
All right,
need
I'll
to lose this
explore
one.
that.
Am I right, Steve? We don't want to, no, that...
30 days is it, as far as I'm
Right.
concerned.
Well, and as I said, realistically, I'd love to say that too, but
Wanda, your most recent several years are still here in the building.
So that's 30 days towards the bills, right?
30 days would be
They're not
from
my
now to
records.
close,
Mr.
right, that's it.
No, we're asking for an extra 30
Oh,
days.
next one, 30 days, oh, okay, so you're
Fine.
60 days from now.
Yeah, 60 days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
More than enough time to
Right.
figure that place out.
Right, right, no, I agree.
And I think to Kevin's point, is if, that land use stuff is preliminary stuff and we don't need it, then I wouldn't bring it over here.
No,
No.
that can go in a dumpster, unless there's a law that says it can't.
Yeah, I think,
But stuff like that
Still
can go.
have-
Around with me
What's
over
that?
there and identify that, or I could just bag it and trash it.
Probably Barbara would be the best.
Why don't you just get the shredded company? We do it.
That's, well, that's what I have a
Now, the
company,
shredded company, it's $300 to $400 for them to come in.
Yeah.
They bring their truck, they shred it all, and it's gone.
yeah, and that's what I was hoping, like, once we do this record retention, I got the number for a shredding company that's on state contract, and then I thought, we could just tell them to go up there and here, have at it.
okay, that's the game plan. Let's get that, let's do that.
I'm trying to move it, but,
And just get rid of throw the boxes that look like they have mold in the dumpster, so when the shredded company comes, they don't see it. And they
Well,
don't question.
I'll work with you if necessary with JRC and just say, look, these are really old records, we're at an old property's been sold.
they don't care. If it's a permanent record, they want you to make every effort to salvage it. If they have to bleach it, copy it, whatever, and that's what I mean, this is gonna be,
Well, but they're old enough that they're beyond the record retention now.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
All right, Ingrid, that's it for your, or do you have more?
Oh, well, the historical commission met, and we talked about some things. Well,
No, you've lost your face.
it's probably, anyway, number one, they want me to go and document the stone pillars at the end of the Edge Road so they can have a historical archive, pictures and measurements.
I'll get you the whole pillar if you want. Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah,
We're just
no.
Yeah, you
signing
can pop it
here.
out of the ground.
Yeah, it's on the docket tonight to have a contract.
They aren't that old.
We're just
I don't-
gonna sign.
Isn't it a heavy item?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you're gonna put on your back, you're gonna need equipment to move it,
I'm
but
gonna call Mike Marley
Right.
and see if he can install that somewhere within the council.
that's up to you guys.
Keep that one scanned.
Okay.
You can have the original. Damage.
Those are the...
On
All
the
right,
Still Valley Water.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's all I'm gonna say.
I think those original estimates were extremely overinflated. I'm sure you could find, a much better pricing privately than what those bids were originally. I think that was ridiculous what they wanted to reface. That's my own personal opinion.
How much more?
$150,000. Right. I'm like, you can go get somebody to shock read it, it'll look,
Yeah.
at least our lifetime. Might not be DOT specs, but, aesthetically it would be,
Not DOT's and stars.
right.
And the other thing is the for sale sign is not, no longer up at the Shimer store, and I tried to call Mike Marley to see if it had been sold, and I wasn't able to reach him. Have you
Okay.
heard anything?
No, I have not.
Where, the general store?
Yeah,
The Shimer store? in
the
Riddle?
Kurt Weiss.
When is he due to come back and report? I wasn't here.
He showed up the last meeting and had promised he had, drawn building and electrical permits submitted for him. I'd like to call, down and talk to Ray and see if he actually did pull them and paid for them, or whether he just filled them out, and that was as far as it got.
Yeah, those letters were suspect that he gave too. On the line. One wasn't even signed.
Yeah, well.
And I'm still waiting for that project plan.
We did also indicate, Kevin, that he's the sole owner at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I did.
Call everybody else.
Bought everybody else out. But you're right, I did notice that the other day when I went to Riddlesville, there is no more signs on it. And that may have been part of what he had to do to buy out the other buyers,
Like,
maybe.
he was suspicious he had the money to buy it out.
Well, we can't comment that way, All right, anything else, Ingrid?
No, sir.
All right, very good, thank you, Ingrid. I greatly appreciate all the work you put into that school to get it auctioned off. We met with all the other parties, off hours with Max and Hudson. I greatly appreciate it. Kevin?
Mayor started with municipal court for HACCON. We had 386 traffic tickets issued, 287 of which were disposed. Criminal complaints, there was 111. Criminal claim complaints that were disposed were 64. the deposit to the municipal treasurer was $10,503.69. For Greenwich, they had 483 ticket traffic complaints issued, 295 which were disposed, 61 criminal complaints, 40 criminal complaints disposed. You will recall that we're still holding all of the money. There's no, until we get our shared services agreement worked out. So we're holding at $8,948.14. Just to further talk on the shared services, I took the numbers for year-to-date, and I prepared a counter offer based upon that, very much in line with our current one. And if that doesn't get accepted, then I've got a different thought in mind, and then if I don't know if we're going to have an executive.
Yeah, we are.
I can share more about that in executive with regard to that negotiation. And I will add to the parameters about the court store dock storage. I wasn't aware of that. That was nothing our current agreement. With regard to the Economic Development Advisory Commission, the commission was not able to meet due to lack of quorum in January. However, in December, we discussed the annual report. I do have the annual report, which I'll just call some highlights. We had scheduled meetings that took place in January, February, March, April, June, and November. Minutes of all our meetings have been posted to the website. In February of last year, we discussed goals, which included some highlights of proclamation about the town's business-friendly orientation. That's something that I'm going to work on with the mayor. In addition to that, updating our town businesses, and we have an Excel spreadsheet. We also participated in National Night Out, and there's more about that to come. We also investigated in understanding about events such as in Easton, we have Garlic Fest, Bacon Fest, and how they benefit the local businesses and residents. We had some outreach conducted, and feedback was gathered from those event coordinators. And we also discussed evaluating the feasibility of potentially in the future conducting our own events here. Corn Fest.
Okay.
Recommended, after evaluating the feedback from Easton and the event coordinators, with the amount of planning that really is required, that there may be an opportunity to conduct an event in the future. However, this would be a longer-term goal if we take it on. With regard to commission members, we retained all of the members except Darrell Stanicki, who resigned in November due to work commitments. We also had a guest speaker, Mr. Eric Pearson, attended one of our meetings to talk about his Lobster Fest event, which never got kicked off. And then just around National Night Out, we had solicited together with the police department 18 prizes, which I reported on. Also, they had signed up saying the HadCon was open for business. We had a table there, we were able to talk to some of the town residents about that, and then we sent out letters to all the businesses thanking them. So, given the event success, I've already spoken to the chief about this. We plan to participate again in 2020 and increase the number of businesses that participate. So that will, annual report will be officially provided once we have our next full meeting. In addition to that, from the fire department, I did receive this evening a budget proposal, which I will review with the mayor, and then we will submit to our budget discussions. And there was one thing that I just lost. It's not as important. And I think that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we can come back, Kevin, if you think about it. Thank you. Mr. Stillman?
In the coming weeks, we'll start the interviews for the new CFO. Hopefully that will work out well. Open space, we did not meet. And also to that rec meeting, they didn't meet, but I did talk to a couple before we there, and she just asked, I bring it to the council about Rankin Field this year. They want to use that for their majors team. That field has been used for baseball in a number of years, and there's some issues with it, some erosion and things like that. So I just wondered if they can work on it this year to get that field ready, or instead of using circle field now, but you need that to go back there.
All right, is that something we need to take action on tonight, or?
What's that?
Getting close?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes, if we with the Rankin Field, yeah.
All right, backtrack again, now, this was also wants to use our...
No, Cohat Croat Majors always used Alpha's Circle Field.
Oh, okay.
They want to bring it back to Huntington Field to use that for baseball this spring.
Okay.
But the infield, I guess, how many years ago, they made it really big, and now when the water run off it, like, there's like huge, holes that are in the field, so if they're gonna use it this year, there's gonna be some maintenance needs to be done.
And that would be a one-off because they're planning to put the field back on in schools in the future, right?
No baseball though, at this point. Let me put this.
Who was the Paracon League? What is that?
That's a level of baseball, it's, fifth and sixth graders. So that's the request to see if they can, and really just more dragging the field and just,
Because we were talking about Huntington being one of the ones that could potentially block.
What about that field at Finesville on, Western?
that's in bad shape.
That hasn't been used for years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Do you want the, road department guys to go over there then and?
Just take a
what they
look at it,
need to
see,
do? Take a
see what, I
look,
mean, if it's something where it's,
and they can report back to us in March, first March.
yeah, that's fine. And then,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
Jeff, and then from there, just see what, if they say, listen, it's just way, you know, it's not worth the issue.
The fence and stuff was fine, and the
Fence is
backstop
fine,
and all that.
backstop's fine. I know the bleachers were pushed back into the weeds, I don't know if they have to get rid of them because of just EDA regulations and things like that, but, everything else from the football season went fine, benches and stuff like that. And then also too, just with, the fields beyond the school, that we do a resolution study with Boomer to see if he can, start the survey.
Survey, right, we're gonna have that put on at coach, as long as we can figure out where the funding is gonna come.
Even if it's pending from, so we can, okay.
You're all right taking a look at them up there, Jeff, to see how bad it is, or Donnie, whatever it needs to be, that's right in your backyard, almost, isn't it, Donnie?
And the bleachers aren't, it's a wider insurance.
Right, so the bleachers would have to be gotten rid of.
Yeah, that's wrapped in.
I remember, it was sitting right in front of me. Two other things with regard to, police, and I'll let Chief Ronald also, add some comment. One is, Councilman Still and myself have put a proposed date to negotiate with the PBA contract
Okay.
for the 27th, have our first sit-down. Also to update the council that, Mayor Sonic and myself sat down with Chief Rob for our first conversation, so those negotiations are underway. And Chief, I won't steal your thunder, I know you produced, a report, that maybe you want to,
yes, sir.
Are you done?
I'm done, yep.
All right, we'll move on, Chief, can we do a set rundown on Still Valley?
Sure. So, last meeting, we discussed Still Valley Road with the issues of speeding, stop sign violations, and some tractor-trailer traffic, that was, on Still Valley Road. So from January 24th to February 13th, officers went out and specifically, hit that area as a targeted area, so that we could do a traffic study to have some finals for tonight's meeting. The areas that that were in question were, County Route 627, or 639, at the intersection of Still Valley Road. The issues that were reported, we went over were speeding, stop sign violations, and tractor-trailer traffic. The speed limits currently on those roadways are 45 mile an hour on, County Route 639. And after reviewing I know last month we talked about Still Valley Road was 25, well, it's not.
It's not posted.
Right, so, but then when you read the state statute, it fits the 50 mile an hour zone.
You're crazy. I'm frozen to Stephen George.
So,
Let Chief finish, please.
so that's what we found as soon as the meeting was over, that's a 50 mile an hour zone. So that's an issue at hand right there with that speed limit. So the officers conducted radar details. During our details, we observed 2,553 cars that went past, our officers during the radar time. A total of 37 vehicles out of those 225, a little over 2,500, were actually, speeding between 45 and 49 miles an hour. So it was a pretty low percentage of only like 1.7% of the cars were speeding. Only 7 vehicles in all those cars were over 50 miles an hour. Our top speed was at 56 miles an hour, and a total of 4 vehicles were observed going through the stop sign on Still Valley Road, without completely stopping. None of the officers saw tractor trailers, during the time on Still Valley Road. and a total of 44 motor vehicle violations were issued by the officers in that time frame for the violations. So with looking at everything, now you do have to understand, when a cop car sits out there, the speeds will reduce because they see the cop car. So, you know, I know that because, for instance, the officers did daily reports for me. The very first couple days, the speeding percentage was like 17 to 18% of the cars that passed. But then over the time that it went down to to February 13th, now we're down to, pretty much 1 to 2% of the cars are speeding. So, that's because everybody that travels that road every day obviously sees us sitting there, and they now know that they're going to be there, so they don't take that chance. I do have some recommendations after the study. I do recommend that we put the speed limit sign in the ordinance on Still Valley Road, 25 miles an hour. I talked to, Jeff got me a price for signs. They're about $58 a piece. That doesn't include delivery, depending on how many we order. So I would think that, I originally said 7, but we could go a little less. We at least need 4, 2 on one side of municipal and 2 on the other side of municipal. That way there's a posted speed limit for us to enforce at 25 miles an hour, along with the ordinance change.
Full length?
Full length, yeah, I don't want to break it up, full length 25.
Even on the section on the east side of the tunnel?
I recommend everything. Because they fly down that part.
All right, so in other words, and then...
From end to end. It's a little bit past Edge Road towards Voorhees that we start, and then all the way to 639, I recommend the whole thing's 25.
That's a good idea, because I travel every morning, and there's,
I can have that for first reading next month.
I also recommend that one of the concerns was the left-hand turn, if you're coming up Still Valley Road towards 639, that I recommend that we have a sign there that says no left turn. So that way we don't have the potential for accidents. There is some site limits on it right there, so I think that would be a good solution to some of the issues, is putting a no left turn on there. And then I think
How about a right turn when you're coming up 639?
that's a
ready to
county
drop
that we
off to the
discussed
hills?
last time, and I think
Oh,
we were gonna look at what the county was
Yeah, we're
saying
gonna
on that.
contact.
That's a hard right turn.
Yeah, but that's gonna be their decision.
Where, Chief? I'll do that for you.
A left turn, no left turn on Still Valley Road if you're making a left onto 639.
Okay.
You have to come down to municipal.
Oh, that, okay, I don't think we need one.
Yeah, that's on a township road. Wait, do we have to weigh in with the county on that, because it's a township road?
I think it's our decision, and it's just, it's not on their street, it's our street.
Right.
Chief, you can't go left.
Correct.
I can
Still
bring
Valley
up.
Road approaching 639, you cannot make a
That's
left.
actually easier to do than making a right turn to go down Still Valley Road.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but
We don't... Yeah, but I understand all the ramifications. I'm just saying that,
That's no different than Creek coming up with 5 minutes deep.
Yeah, you can't make a
I
right
think I
turn
can
there.
cover both and see.
Yeah.
So that,
So, those were our findings. We're gonna continue radar on 639.
Your presence has made it different.
Okay.
I don't care if they know you're there,
Right.
but they're slowing down. The Stacey's are also pulling people over, and so is Greenwich on the other side of
Yep,
that tunnel.
they're on the other side, yep.
So we've seen a big presence. I'm sorry for that comment about that being 50 miles an hour. That shocked me.
It shocked me when I looked at it too, but that's why we're gonna try to fix it.
What time of day were you there?
posted speed limits will make a huge difference.
What time of day were you there?
All hours, mostly during the peak, because that was the,
Mornings and nights.
Yeah, so, between 7 and 9, our guys were out there, and then, during rush hour, and then other times during the day too. So,
But it's true, you can see it.
The heaviest time is 6 a.m. to 7.
Yeah.
That's when, that's what it's in NASCAR. But it's been a huge difference.
see you.
And I'm surprised it's only been that many violations, because we watch your
You
officers
guys zipping out, like,
constantly going
going
after the, like,
So,
sometimes they're backing into that thing, and they need to get back in, and they have to go right back out.
Everybody all right with the chief's recommendations here?
Yes.
You want that as a motion, Wanda, or just let them put it as
I'll
an
draft it
ordinance?
for first reading next month, and you guys can introduce it.
All right. Anything else, chief?
I'll do a brief report, because we're running a little late here today. But, so far, my guys have been knocking it out of the park. Our K-9 is on the road now, it's been on the road. The K-9 has about 15 searches already. with 15 indications on vehicles for narcotics.
Do you get many calls for assistance from other communities for it, or not?
Out of the 15, we've gotten called, we were utilized once by the Warren County Tactical Team to assist with the narcotic search warrant. And then we do have, coming up at the end of February, the Warren County Jail requested assistance with an event they're using. And then there's another event, school event, that I can't discuss, but there is a school event that the K-9 will be, within the county, that the K-9 will be assisting with. But otherwise, just one of the numbers that I want to throw out, which is I've never seen in all my 20 years, we're 49 days into the month, into the year, and downstairs we have on the board how many arrests we have, and we already have 78 arrests as of tonight in that time frame. So this year, I don't, they're kicking butt, but I've never seen numbers like that in all my time with everything, so.
I mean, is this something we need to be concerned with, that there's gonna be more crime, or the crime is moving?
We haven't had, no, I'm not even gonna say it, because I have to knock on wood. But the crime that we are having, I have to say, is concentrated to a transient population.
All right, very good, Chief. Thank you. I think you've hit everybody now at this point for reporting. I'll make it brief. I was very pleased with the sale of the school today. I sat there 11 o'clock watching that little ticker bump up 5,000 at a time, and I was very, very pleased with the job Max Span and company did, Ingrid as well, with all the hard work she put in it. I look forward, I actually did a television interview the day before with Channel 69 News. Emma Wright came out and did a little, I don't know what you would call it, human interest or whatever, but a nice little 30 or 40 second interview. It was on 69 last night. And there again, that's the focal point, I say, to come into the town from Alpha. I look forward to seeing what our buyer suggests or would like to do with it. From the preliminary hearings, it sounds like he wants to save it, so we'll
I think
see.
you guys as a council and our land use board, I think you did a great job. We designated that an area that needed redevelopment. I think that played a factor.
Absolutely, because
I
it
think
took,
you guys did a great job there, and it's going to give you guys a lot of flexibility.
for the buyer, it took a lot of the questioning out.
I received a lot of calls about what we guys consider, and my response was, we will consider anything rational.
That was just a response to anybody that asked me. Anything reasonable, that's not gonna be a detriment to the community, we'll consider, because, it needs to have something happen.
That's a great job, that redevelopment designation, I really think it helped.
Yeah, that was money well spent. I mean, the last bid was 270, which fell through, but theoretically, and now we netted 420.
And that's 270, I think that was included by the premium. This is 442, note that the premium's on top of that, that's your guys' net.
Right.
Great.
So I said that was a very positive note. That's something we can get back on the rolls. You talked briefly about the Phillipsburg Mall. I've had no interaction, no conversation with the owners or anything there. That's just stagnant. That meeting we had with the...
I've not heard from either of those two about the redevelopment interest.
Okay,
On the
but
battery project or the,
that would have happened since last council meeting, correct?
Yes.
Or was that before?
We had that after our last.
That's what I thought. And that was, Councilman Bovinski and I met with a potential developer that wants to utilize, they were only gonna rent the space, correct? They weren't buying it. Utilize the space in Cohacton adjacent to the abandoned paper mill here in Warren Glen. It's gonna be a power storage facility, pretty much all temporary type deal. It was not very permanent, but we had a brief meeting at Kevin's office with that, along with the EAI developers, in conjunction to another piece of property that they have interest in.
The battery facility, I thought was a very green, very neat thing.
Apparently it's done everywhere now.
Yeah.
They put batteries in to charge during the day when people are home, and then when there's peak power at night, the power plants don't have to work as hard.
Because
Because they use the
subsidized.
battery storage to supplement the power
They
that's required.
ensure levels out the grid.
It was a small building, small,
Small building.
2,000 square
Yeah, I
feet,
think-
6,000 square feet.
Yeah, that I think you're gonna see come in, it's just a question of whether.
There's a lot of
makes
towns
sense.
already, apparently.
Well, there's one in Alpha already, on that road.
And EAI, we asked for additional information, and we got that. I thought those were two intriguing readings.
With that, our environmental meeting, was the beginning of the month, there was nothing real earth-shattering there. We are going to have a, white oak tree that's came from, it's gonna come from the DEP, and it's a seedling from the great, I believe they call it the Salem oak tree. It was a couple 100-year-old oak tree in South Jersey, that actually died or had deteriorated, but they were able to save seeds and start seedlings, and the DEP has a program where each township in the state is going to, has the opportunity to receive a seedling from this great oak, Salem oak tree, and I said, sure, we'll take one, and we're going to coordinate planting it. It's supposed to come the end of April. I'm gonna work with Les Nichols on that. We're gonna find someplace here on the ground suitable to plant that oak tree.
What kind of oak is it, white oak?
It's a white oak, yeah.
No, well, you can,
Yeah, and then they said, I want to say this oak tree down there was, in the hundreds of years old, don't quote me, but it was not, 50 or 75, I want to say 200 or 300 years old. It was
the one that was in Basking Ridge was 400 years old.
Yeah.
It was bigger than this room.
Yeah, it was enormous, I did see pictures of it, but, they were able to save some of those seeds and get them started. I don't anticipate the seedling's gonna be very large, but, we'll do our best to get it planted here somewhere in coordination with, our resident tree expert, Les Nichols, we'll find a place on the property for it. With that, I am going to have a informal with, Diane Landry Thursday, to discuss the school capacity in regards to these future projects, especially EAI, to make sure that we have capacity. That school, when it was built just with that development in mind. But I'm gonna go and just have a brief sit down with Diane to talk about some things, just so we're not, reacting, that we can be proactive if there's anything of concern. Other than that, I've got nothing really else. I'd just like to echo that today was a good day for the township for that option. So with that,
I just wanted to- We just got notice tonight that there's a large sinkhole on River Road. It's on the tracks, right, Jeff? It's off the road. It's on River Road north of Pincher's Point. Chris Cotty's aware. I talked to Wayne, because Chris Cotty wants to talk to Wayne, saying something about a pipe that it was running under the road or something, so, but it's a significant, sinkhole that took some of the tracks out.
does the road need to be closed?
No, it's coned off, the road's still open, right, it's travelable, yeah, they can travel on it, but there is a sinkhole now.
All right, well noted, and, was Mr. Cotty trying to say it was township water that did it, or?
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
You read through the line.
Read through the line, and that's all township roads, and I will have to get to the bottom of that, that's all.
Speaking of which, there's no trespassing signs up yet.
There's no, or there is?
There are none.
There are not,
They have not been installed yet.
okay. And that was gonna be on Mr. Cotty, I assume?
We asked, somebody just reached out to him in November that asked him to do that, correct?
I had a conversation with Mr. Cotty, he did say he was gonna put them out. It's about time to do a follow-up with him, because they haven't been put out.
Yeah, I mean, before you know it, it's gonna be warmer weather, and we're gonna have that same problem we had last year. All right, with that, resolutions, we have, it looks like, 4 resolutions. One being the guardrail we had talked about before. Emergency temporary appropriations. Wanda, that was the one we discussed in your office before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then we have the premiums for tax sales. Can we take all 4 of these together? Does anybody have any issues?
I'll make a motion. We can do that.
I'll second that.
Still got it, yeah.
I didn't either.
Sorry. I heard it.
Sorry.
Speak up, John.
only not getting it. Leave out at the end.
Okay, Babinski?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Stillo?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes. Ordinances for first reading, we have none. Ordinances for second reading, ordinance 20-01, calendar year 2020, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank. Do I need to open that?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to open it up.
Motion to open that up to public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any public comment on ordinance 20-01?
I'll make a motion to close and adopt.
I'll second it.
Okay, Babinski?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Stillo?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes. Motions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 motions.
This is so the council's aware on that, release and identification date and sent that to me. I'm fine with that, but just so we can get that cornerstone out of there, I was okay with it.
All right, is there anybody else needs clarification
A
on
little motion,
anything?
and the motion about Brian Porter, it should say motion to accept his resignation.
Yeah.
What did he say?
It doesn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Steve.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
Mayor, we're gonna have the, an motion to.
Correct.
And we're adding two, right? One is a motion to combine the 2018 and 2019 DOT grants and authorize engineer Wayne Ingram to proceed once the selection of locations is made. Is that?
Correct.
And then,
South Warren Municipal Alliance, that's the other one we talked about, is that the Guide Rail project?
no.
What is that?
South Warren Municipal Alliance, Councilman Melvin, is the money we get through, like, the local municipalities, Cohat, Lopat, Alpha, Greenwich. We get money like for drug, teaching at the schools and things like that, that money they collect and disperse
Okay.
through the Municipal Alliance. The other motion was we were going to approve Wayne Ingram's proposal for the school project for a total not to exceed $5,250, if I add up all those numbers right.
Yep, that's right.
Pending availability of funds or where, once we figure out how we're gonna pay for it.
I thought you knew you were taking that from open space, right?
Right, but do we have to get, the CFO to,
You can make it subject to certification.
that's good, that's subject to certification fund.
So I'll make a motion that we accept all the motions.
Second.
Okay. Babinski?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Melvin?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Stillo
Yes.
and Slack.
Yes.
Green freeze.
All right, moving on to, mayor's appointments. We have, to appoint chairman for the Environmental Commission would be Eric Person, for a 3-year term.
So is that a yearly appointment, right?
Yeah, it's a yearly appointment for chair, but his term is currently good through this year.
So this is more just the appointment of the chairman?
Right.
Right, that's why I put that there, Councilman Melvin, to appoint chairman and vice chair of the commission.
Right, and Les Nichols is gonna be our vice chair.
Yeah, for calendar 2020.
Right, just for this year, that's the yearly basis. Wanda, do we need to take any action as far as the land use board? How does that work? Do they
No.
appoint their own?
No, they appoint their own.
Yeah,
Okay,
statutorily, you have to do the environment.
okay, so this was the only commission per se that I needed to
Yes.
appoint. All right, very good. All right, at this time, are there any public comments on anything? If so, come forward, sign in, speak a piece.
Do we need to bless the appointments?
I don't think so, because I think they're up to my entertainment, but,
This is approval by town council, I approve.
all right, I'll go along with that, I appreciate it.
And we'll just say all in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
You approve, you approve.
Approval, my approval, I like that. All right, now at this point, any public comments? Anybody have anything they need to,
I just have one thing to say that nothing to do with this, towards the police department.
go ahead, Randy.
Can you come in, sign your name,
Okay, I
and...
just want to say thank you, because most people I don't remember, but it's been quite a while now, we had that deep deal from our content. And I totally forgot about it, you guys found them, and I didn't know whatever happened. And something came in the mail the other day from the municipal court, and it was a check for the refund, even though it was a small refund, And I just want to say thank you for, finding them and, just like justice was due. So that was really nice.
Thank you. Very good, that's a good story, I like to hear it.
That's why I said earlier, Ohacon's finest. They
Who
are.
would have thought, right?
Yeah, they are.
Wanda,
They put their lives on the line for us.
do we need an executive session necessarily tonight, Wanda? Have we discussed this? We did,
Yeah, we
right?
I think we do.
All right.
Yeah, I think we do.
At this point, I'd like a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, personnel.
Personnel and contract.
SB, Babinski, and who was the second?
Melvin.
Okay, so I'll say Babinski,
Yeah, yeah.
Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Stillo,
Yes.
Slack.
Have a nice evening. Oh, yeah, okay. So,
Okay, you want to come back?
Waiting for Steve?
Oh.
Is he coming back?
He went out the back door. He ran.
But I'm not taking any action.
I was going to say, you don't need to wait for him, because he's
Make a motion to reconvene. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, want me to recapitulate?
I guess for the record, you have to. Executive's on the
Executive session, very quick for the public who's not here, but we'll see it in minutes. We had a discussion about the ultimately ongoing negotiations concerning the Greenwich participation in a court, and we've elected to maintain the status quo and let them take further moves at this point. Secondly, we had a discussion with respect to the need to replace our outgoing DPW supervisor. We need a motion to authorize our clerk to advertise for the position. I'll help her draft that advertisement. It'll be for a certified public works manager slash DPW supervisor. And that motion also includes her advertising with the New Jersey League of Municipalities, if somebody wants to make that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Melvin, you're the second?
Yes.
Okay, Babinski, Gray,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Stillo,
Yes.
Slack.
Yes.
We had a brief discussion about CFO and our ongoing efforts to expand our search, and that's what we're doing. So maybe we can set up. I'll be reaching out to some additional people, and that's it. I think we're totally discussed.
Who wants to adjourn?
I'll make the motion, I go home.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.